Hi, I'm Steve Parker, independent Land Rover specialist for the last 35 years. I've been involved with Land Rover for over 46 years and doing engine conversion kits for 35 years or so. Our aim is to do a factory fitted installation, try and make it as neat as possible and as practical as possible. Our basic remit of these is to use as many Land Rover parts as possible from either the original vehicle you're putting it into, or the donor vehicle you're taking the engine from, or Land Rover parts as much as possible. When you're contemplating doing this conversion, you need to get as many parts as possible with it. You need to get the engine and all the ancillaries. The cooling system, you will need the framework with the radiator and the intercooler, get that as an assembly. The header tank, the air filter, and most importantly the induction hose and the fuel filter head. The perfect way to do this is to get the donor vehicle really, and all your bits and pieces will be there, and then whatever you don't use you can also possibly sell on to a later date. We do a range of conversion kits to help with the installation on this. We do a basic kit, but we've recently included the cooling system kit, I'll explain why in a moment, to be bought together. We do the oil cooler pipes, we do intercooler pipes, we do the exhaust systems for left-hand drive or right-hand drive, long and short wheelbase. The air filter installation kit, I think I've already mentioned the oil cooler pipes, but they're quite important really. One of the things you need to consider, we've recently introduced power steering on conversion onto the series model motors, and most of the modern engines have got power steering pumps on, so that's one of the big problems sorted out, because the source of the power is the pump. And when we're doing a conversion like this, we means we've got to go to trouble to take the pumps off. So the only difference it makes as far as the conversion is concerned at this stage, at the early doors of a stage really, is the length of the belt, because in the conversion you probably see that we've repositioned the alternator, because on the long wheelbase models the alternator was falling on the chassis, and the 3-litre TDI is very complicated on the left hand side. All of the components are all on the left hand side, and makes it very, very cluttered, so we took the decision to move the alternator to this side. So in with the basic kit you get the drive belt along with the bracketry, etc. So if the pump's on, it's a different belt with or without power steering. When we come to do the installation, we've tried to use as much as possible the doing away with any welding. That's basically a nut and bolt job is what we've tried to do with this, because there's so many people now who've got vehicles being rebuilt on galvanised chassis and they don't want to do any welding to a chassis. When we mount the engine, we use the original 2¼ petrol or diesel, both the same, left-hand engine mounting bracket. That sets the height and the position of the engine. The right-hand side, this side, is very complicated because the oil filter is right in the way. On the chassis, you've got the long engine mounting bracket, which we cut back. We don't cut it off, we just cut it back, and then we put a mounting cap on top of it. And then with the bracket we supply, we have the cap, the bracket switch bolt to the engine block itself, and then we have a reinforcing bar underneath which bolts to the sump. Comes with all the fixings, the bolts and all the bits and pieces to put it together. The cooling system is a very complex kit really. There's a lot of parts in it, and the cooling system of course is the heart and the soul of any engine installation. If that's not right, it just doesn't work. We split the intercooler off from the radiator, as you can see on this installation, mainly because we haven't got space between the wings. But the pipe work, so in the cooling system kit we supply with the top mounting bracket, the bottom radiator mounting brackets, which you can't see from here, the radiator hoses, the bottom hose, and then there's a stainless steel, we call it a manifold, which the bottom hose goes through, the header tank pipe goes to, and the heater return pipe goes to, the heater valve. The heater valve is used on all the models, whether it's either cable operated or tap operated, depends on what the original vehicle was, but that's the only non-Land Rover part in the whole conversion, besides what we make as well. So that sorts that out. The exhaust systems, all the parts that we make are made out of aluminized stainless steel, which is the best material you can use before you go to stainless. It's good long life material, and then we follow the basic route of the original systems. Again, they vary on the long wheelbase. There's so many different systems on the long wheelbase, so they can't keep up with them all. The short wheelbase is pretty straightforward. Left-hand drive or right-hand drive, quite straightforward. But the long wheelbases are quite complex because there's different brackets for different years of vehicles. On the long wheelbase, we make a universal exhaust system, and we have to put brackets on the chassis, which is included in your kit to complete the installation. When we come to do the air filter, we have a mounting bracket which picks up on the bracketry on the steering box on this side. Left-hand drive models, the bracket is still there, a bit of a different shape, but it'll still bolt to it. And then we modify the induction hose because it's quite complicated down there to get the pipe work down there. So, but it is doable, and again, that's what the installation kit is as far as that's concerned. Now, the Defender 300 TDI uses a cylindrical air filter. We don't use that because we use the Discovery ones, because there's not many Defender air filters around, and to buy any of the air filters afterwards is so expensive. They're just astronomical prices. So we use the plastic one, which usually comes with the engine, and it usually gets chucked in with the deal, so it makes it a bit more attractive. When we do the installation, we've got to modify the flywheel housing slightly. Nothing too dramatic, but there's lugs on the back which we have to take off to clear the cross member and the prop shaft on this side, and we have to drill and tap one hole so it'll line up with the bolt holes on the bell housing. The clutches are quite straightforward. You would use the Series 3 Series 3 clutch friction plate on all models, and the pressure plate off the Discovery on Series 3, and the 2A diesel diaphragm one on that, which will all fit because they're all Imperial fixings. It's quite straightforward, nothing too arduous down as far as that's concerned. When we do the intercoolers, they're quite complicated. We've basically got two setups which we have to use. Just for the moment, we'll consider right-hand drive. We've got late Series 2A and Series 3 where we have the headlights and the wings. That allows us to stand the intercooler up in front of the radiator. You can just see the top of the studs there. So we use the top of the front panel to mount the top of the intercooler, and then the bottom we have a little bracket on a swivel so it'll just fall for alignment. And again, we do all the hoses to suit. So there's no modifications to the intercooler on late Series 2A, Series 3 right-hand drive models. Series 2 and early 2A, with headlights in the front panel, we have to mount the intercooler horizontal. The reason why is because we just don't have the room to get the headlights and the intercooler in, because between the intercooler and the radiator, once that's mounted, we put the electric fan in there, and there's only just enough room because it's really compact and quite busy with all this lot. So now left-hand drive models, it doesn't matter whether it's early 2A, late 2A, Series 3, because the steering gear is over on that far side, on your driver's side, your left-hand side. So we mount the intercooler here horizontally. Now that does involve a specialist welding job. Now we can supply you with a new intercooler, modified, ready for the installation, obviously at additional cost, but we can do that, and then we supply you with all the pipe work. So we can do intercoolers for Series 3 right-hand drive, Series 2 2A headlights in the front panel right-hand drive, and for all left-hand drive models, whichever which way you want to go, we can do with that combination. When it comes to mounting left-hand drive steering boxes, it's quite messy because it's quite full over that side. So we have to pack off the steering box about an inch or so, 25mm, to allow the steering drop arm to clear. Now, one of the things we've done in the installation, we have to rotate the turbo, because on the standard 300 TDI setup, the turbo outlet comes straight out 90 degrees to the engine. It sounds a bit daunting to actually rotate the turbo outlet, but really, when you get down to it, it's quite simple. All of the gaskets and all the bits and pieces you're going to require for this installation is in with your basic kit. It's a case of just rotating the aluminium housing on the outside so as to make it stand upright. Now, as a consequence of doing this, we have to supply you with a bracket to mount the boost control module in there so to get that to work properly. So again, that is in with your basic kit. So basically, your basic kit is engine mounted bracket for this side, alternator bracket, alternator drive belt, gaskets, boost control brackets, so as to do all that. So that will get the engine in the vehicle. But the cooling system is the complicated one, because as I mentioned before, everything's in the way, there's no room for anything down there, so that's why we do quite a comprehensive kit on the cooling system. So that finishes all that off. I think I've covered most of the basic things now on the basic installation. This is just a basic introduction into the 300 TDI, and what we'll do is a series of videos as we go along to show you a bit more in depth how each of the kits is installed. Thanks for watching. Job's a good one. Thanks very much. Bye bye now.